Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 121 of Level Up, 60 minutes of live Q&A where your questions, chat and votes drive the show. First of all, let me take a moment to wish you all a very happy new year from all of the team here at Level Up. We're really looking forward to another year of live events and hope to see you join in with us in whatever capacity works for you, either live in the audience, posting questions, or perhaps even as a panelist yourself. As we get underway today with our show, please let the social team know your name and the city you're joining from. We really love to get to know our audience and get everyone involved. My colleagues Ella and Shanice are online, and they'll post a link in the chat to vote up the questions that you would most like answered, and of course, to add in your own questions. If your question is selected today, your name will appear in the credits at the end of the show. So do get yours in early and stay with us to see that happen. Also, please take a moment to like, comment, share and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything and it really helps new people discover our content. Today's show is our first live event for 2023 and we'll be spending the next hour discussing how you can achieve the career-related New Year's resolutions that you have set for yourself. Whether it's to secure your next promotion, learn a new skill, or even develop a brand new career path. Our panel are ready and waiting with their advice on how you can turn these New Year's resolutions into a reality this year. So let's go straight over and meet today's panel. So returning panelist Mart Rovers is passionate about educating and coaching leaders and professionals and has been working in this field for more than 30 years. His areas of expertise include service management, business relationship management, information security, project management, and change management. Welcome back, Mart.
Thank you, Ellie. Thanks for having me. And thank you for just aging myself. That was great. I don't want to say quickly, but an inspirational quote that I found from Steve Jobs to set the stage for this episode. The only way to do great work, he said, is to love what you do. And if you haven't found it yet, keep looking.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks, Mart. Okay, so also joining us for another episode is Stephan Brendel. Stephan is the regional lead for EMEA at APMG International and has a wealth of experience working with channel partners and trainers in the education space. Stephan also has many years' experience working as a consultant in service management and project management. Welcome back, Stephan.
Thanks, Ellie, and hello to everyone. Happy New Year, and I'm really delighted to be part of that kicking off Level Up for 2023.
Thanks, Stephan. So another Level Up veteran is Dianne Rampadarath. Dianne is the Assistant Director for Public Service of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and is responsible for the implementation of Agricultural Development Programme. Dianne also served on the National Council for Sustainable Development Project Advisory Committee for Multilateral Environmental Agreements and participated in a training program in India for International Program in Financing Inclusive Agriculture and Rural Development. Wonderful to have you back with us, Dianne.
Thanks very much, Ellie and APMG International for the opportunity to appear on Level Up panel again. Happy New Year to everyone. I'm looking forward to a very interesting show. And with every new year comes new beginnings where we can learn from the lessons and the mistakes of the past to forge the way future. Thank you.
Thanks, Dianne. So also back with us for today's panel is Kay Sanders. As CEO of CITI Limited, Kay specialises in change enablement consultancy, building capability within organisations to support the delivery of strategic change through effective portfolio, programme and project management. CITI believe that people not only need the technical expertise, but also the behavioural consciousness to sponsor, manage stakeholders and realise benefits within P3M to deliver successful change. Hi, Kay.
Hello, thank you again for allowing me to participate in this very first 2023 Level Up. It's really exciting to be here. I think it'll be an exciting year. And I think a lot of people are thinking about their careers. So a very topical area. Really looking forward to some energised conversation.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Thank you, Kay. So completing today's panel is Sheila Roberts. Sheila is the Chief Progress Officer for Resilience Professionals, and she has more than 3 decades of experience in leading project professionals to deliver successful initiatives. Sheila is passionate about the need for resilience and facilitating progress, and is a co-author of Business Resilience, a practical guide to sustained progress delivered at pace. Welcome to the panel, Sheila.
Thank you, Ellie. And like everyone else, Happy New Year to our audience. And I'm delighted to be here. I think now is a time that we all want to have a look forward. Difficult couple of years behind us. And we're all hoping that this is going to be a time our resolutions can come to fruition.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Sheila. And thanks to all the panel. It's great to have you with us today. So our question master for today is Charlotte Miller, joining us from the Thames Valley. Hi, Charlotte.
Good morning, everybody. Happy New Year. And we're starting with such an excellent schedule and new series of Level Up for 2023. So excited.
Thank you very much, Charlotte. So may we have our first question, please?
You certainly can, Ellie. We've got a question from Wendy B in Scotland. Wendy asks, what steps should I take to achieve my career goals?
Okay, thanks. Great first question there. So Wendy B, what steps should I take to achieve my career goals? Brilliant. We'll have Dianne and then Sheila and then Stephan, please.
So some of the tips that I can recommend is being very clear about your career goal in terms of exactly what you want to achieve and how it aligns with everything else in your professional career, as well as setting yourself up to be promoted. So a good foundation level could be an up-to-date resume with good certifications, good qualifications. So always ensure that your resume is up to date so that you can help to achieve your career goals.
Yeah, great advice there. Thanks, Dianne. Clarity on what you want to achieve is a good one to start with. Sheila, your thoughts on this one, please.
I agree with what Dianne has said. And I think that one of the good steps about understanding your career goals is to look back at what you've done, what you've enjoyed from that, and that passion that Mart has identified from Steve Jobs is really important here. Then to say, how do I actually make sure that I've got the right experience and qualifications in order to go forward with that and make that assessment, as well as, if you've got those things, following the advice that Dianne's given.
Yeah, absolutely. Start with the end in mind, for sure. Stephan, your thoughts, please.
I think when you talk about career, it's maybe a little bit different than it used to be in the years before the pandemic, because in the last 2 years, I think a lot of people have stepped out of their comfort zones. And it's very difficult to define career option when you're outside of a comfort zone, or if you haven't made it your comfort zone. We have to realize and maybe use the positive energy of the pandemic, and even as bizarre as it sounds, the impact of the war in Europe, to make anything which is new as the new comfort zone, and set career goals from there. Because otherwise, I don't think it works. I think the pandemic is rather a trigger than a threat. I don't believe that we will come back to anything that is called an old normal. We will rather be in a new normal, and have to take it from there, whatever that is. And I mean, we have a full hour to discuss this.
Yeah. Thank you, Stephan. So actually, Mart would like to add something to this, and then we'll come to Kay afterwards for a full panel response.
I'd like to add two things. That is, one is make sure that you nurture your network. In other words, stay connected, even when we're all, or many of us are still, somewhat remote. To talk about what Stephan just said, right? The pandemic, that has been a challenge, of course, but today's world is well connected, and it's a matter of you investing in your network and find the connections that might be able to help you in your career. The other thing I want to mention is find a coach or a mentor. It could be another thing to consider to help you achieving your career goals. As a coach myself, it's one of the half of the conversations that I have with the folks that I coach are about their career and how to advance or switch careers and how to achieve their goals. It's a very common concept to have a coach.
Yeah, thanks, Mart. That's great advice. Kay, your thoughts, please.
A lot of what I was going to say has been said, but I'm just going to kind of summarize in a way. One of the things is, for me, that's really quite important is to get to know yourself again. The world did change quite a lot over the last 2 years, and people's values and principles are really quite important to understand themselves. One of the ways you can do that, as Mart very rightly says, is by having a mentoring program. More than one mentor or coach is sometimes good as well in different areas, so that you can kind of assess where you are. The other thing is just challenge yourself. Yes, go outside of your comfort zone, and it is important that you stretch yourself and ask yourself some difficult questions. Resolutions are that very thing where we're asking ourselves, where were we before, reflecting on that, and then where do we want to be in the coming year, and really get yourself some objectives that are smart objectives that you can kind of really work towards, and not so out there that you can't achieve them. They need to be achievable. So for me, it's a real positive start to the year when you can really focus on you and get to know yourself a bit more.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, panel. Great answer to that first question. So, Wendy, the focus is get used to your current normal, have clarity around the goals that you want to achieve, find yourself someone that can help you achieve them, and be aware of what skills you need to get into that new career. So that's great, panel. Thanks very much for that one. Charlotte, please can we have our second question?
You certainly can, Ellie. The next question to be asked is a question from Cindy. And Cindy asks, can you advise on a professional certification to give me a sustainable competitive advantage in my career enhancement?
Wow, that's a good one. We'll come to Sheila first and then Stephan on that one. Thank you.
Well, this is a subject dear to my heart, and I would advise on looking at business resilience. It's a new certification, and in fact, just recently, I was part of a group who did a webinar on achieving competitive advantage to be sustainable going forward. So really, it takes you wider than any single area and looks overall at the business.
Yeah, thanks, Sheila. Stephan, your thoughts?
Well, Kay mentioned in the previous question about change and how much we have changed. So change management, I think, is the foundation, the base of from a personal career perspective, people should be aware of how to manage change for yourself, for the team, for the organization you're working for your customers. And then there are, like Sheila said, of course, that business resilience. This is very, very important, and it happens on the foundation of a change process. And there are lots of qualification that give you areas in advancing personal skills. The PS professional is one, for example, where you can. I've been through that. I'm now a rainmaker. A PS professional rainmaker, and I really, really appreciate the skills that have been trained for that, right? In terms of upselling and so on. But the foundation of all is change management, I think.
Yeah, thanks. And we're interested to know, Stephan, what your next certification you'll be working on this year is. Mart, do you like to add a bit to this one, please?
I totally agree with what we just said. The two certifications. There's another one I can think of that has to do with business relationship management. Relationships are everywhere in any organization. No matter what organization you work for, it's something that you will carry for the rest of your career with you. When you have some capabilities as far as how to develop, how to nurture, how to advance business relationships, how to make them successful. As we all know, well, if we get along, great things can happen. And how do you achieve that? And there are some interesting professional certifications for business relationship management And I would recommend those.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Mart. And our team online will pop a couple of links in the chat to some of the certifications that we mentioned. I think I would just add to this one that it depends what the career path you're looking for is. And a great way to find out what the skills required in the career path you're looking for is to find somebody who's already doing it. Mart mentioned earlier about finding a mentor. You can find people on LinkedIn, for example, that already have the jobs that you're looking to move into. What certifications do they have? What are the current certifications that are out there that people you aspire to be have already gone through? Charlotte, our next question, please.
Thanks, Ellie. We've got a question from Lucy. Lucy asks, what would be the best way to review my performance/career for last year?
Okay, performance review for the year we've been through before we're setting our goals, perhaps. Okay, Stephan, and then Dianne, please.
Yeah, well, this question reminds me of what I did during the year break, and I looked in my diary for 2022 and what really sucked. I mean, what was really bad, and I marked that red. And then I looked for what should have been there instead. Which didn't happen for whatever reason, and then try to find out what was the reason why things didn't happen. And that was very helpful for me to outline what I will focus on in the next year.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, isn't it? Spend some time looking back at what happened last year and what you'd like to improve. Dianne, your thoughts, please.
So reflecting on the past always helps you to move forward in the future. So in reviewing your performance, you can look at where did you succeed, where did you fail, where were the lessons, and also last year you would have had some goals. So you can also benchmark your success according to those goals to help you move forward with your 2023 career goals.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Dianne. Sheila, you'd like to add something to this one, please?
Yes, I think it's also useful not just to review your performance yourself, but to understand others' perceptions of you. So ask other people what they thought about your performance and, where they felt that you'd done well. It's really important to understand your strengths, but also where you could continually improve, because we're on a journey. It's not just about, did I do it right or wrong, but how do I actually continuously improve even those areas where I did actually deliver what was asked of me?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I was just going to add the same thing, Sheila. If there is a formal, even if there's a formal appraisal process in your organisation, you can take the feedback you've been given and use that to develop some goals as well. Kay, just finish us off on this one, please.
Sure. One of the things that I was going to say is absolutely about the feedback and gaining that from your peers and from others, really. So that's a continual process that we all must kind of engage with. And again, the mentoring can't add enough to the mentoring and the coaching and so on, and the reflection. So I think Mart and I are very hot on the coaching aspect and so on. I too mentor new talent in organisations and so on. So, and I find that one of the places where they feel less confident is actually gaining critical feedback. And it doesn't mean it's bad feedback. It means that it will just help people to develop, and understanding how to receive feedback is just as important as being able to give feedback. Understanding the complexities of the world and understanding why some of the things didn't happen that you really wanted to, ensuring that your goals from last year were actually quite realistic and doable. The world still is in this adjustment phase, and you're not always going to achieve everything. However, if you've made the right steps and inroads into understanding the why, it will be a better way for you to kind of build your resilience and build your understanding of what you now need to do to kind of build upon the foundation that you created maybe last year. So all of these things are quite important to think about. Don't be hard on yourself.
Yeah, I think that's super advice. Thanks, Kate. And That could be a New Year's resolution itself, couldn't it? If you are thinking of becoming a mentor, finding people that you can help to set their own goals for next year would be a great resolution for lots of people, I think. Okay, Charlotte, another question, please.
Thanks, Ellie. We've got another question from Lucy. And Lucy asks, are there supporting factors to achieve your career objectives?
Okay, thank you. Okay, panel, supporting factors to achieving those objectives. We'll start with you, Stephan.
Well, absolutely, there are supporting factors, and I'm just want to talk about one, which is health. So I think you need to be healthy in a way, and that is mental and physical health, to get better thinking. If it starts from having enough of sleep, because we now know how important sleep is, and that when I grew up in my career, there was that moment, and maybe Mart remembers that as a man, like I only need 5 hours of sleep, which was always wrong. It was always wrong. It leads to a dead end. As I remember this Latin quote, mens sana in corpore sana. You can only get a good mindset if you have good health, right? Physical health. So one advice here, what I did, what helped me a lot is I go on a bicycle for once an hour, for every day for 1 hour. I try to achieve that every day. There's always room for that. And that's what I'm doing. Since I do that, in particular ahead of difficult meetings or after a difficult meeting, before I start reflecting, that helped me a lot to calm down, to get the right mindset. And I think when you go on achieving career objectives, it's very important that you use that as a supporting factor.
Yeah, thank you, Stephan. That's definitely hugely important and really great feedback. And we'll go to Sheila next, please, on this one.
Thank you. And I totally agree with health. And building on that, I think it's the people that you surround yourself with as well, both at work and at home. If you've not got the right people around you, you're not going to have the right mindset. It will impact your health, your happiness, your career. And when I think back through my career and others who I know, the times that I've achieved least progress is when I've been surrounded by the most difficult people. And when I talk about difficult people, it's not necessarily about their personality. It's about perhaps not having the same objectives for the organization and the department and so on. But we all need those people who are our supporters, who not only support us positively, but as mentioned in the last question, also give us constructive critical feedback. So we actually are helped to go forward. We don't just blunder on.
Yeah, I think that's definitely in both of those points, making sure that you're in the right place to go forward with the resolution, and then you've got the right support system in place, and that everything is lined up so you're set up for success is really important. Kay, we'll come to you, and then we'll go to Mart on this one, please.
Thank you. Just to add to that, really, the positive mental attitude piece, it is really important to have good, positive people around you. It is important also to understand that everything isn't going to be positive all the time, and understanding how you can kind of navigate your way through difficult times. We're all in a world at the moment which is changeable, so we do need to understand our own resilience to change, and understand why we behave or react in certain ways. So these kind of things help us. Other supporting factors for me are also the positive mindset piece, but also around building a real plan, if you like. Nothing ever goes to plan, but having a plan and understanding the balance of how you would manage certain situations when they aren't going your way can work really well. So just actually understanding that having a formulated plan A and plan B might just help you to kind of manage sticky situations when they come our way. Forward thinking, having some thinking time, and positivity really would be good.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Kay. That's really helpful. Mart, we'll come to you, and then Dianne will finish us off on this one, please.
Just to quickly build on previous answers, as far as having enough sleep and having good enough exercise, also eat well. That's another one. It's that those three combined can make a huge difference. But I want to mention, as far as the supporting factors, as far to achieve your objectives, the point I'm trying to make is make these things measurable. That's another way to achieve these objectives. If you want to achieve something, and let's say that you have an objective that you want to become certified in a certain area, or you want to read 6 books this year, or a book every month, as in you can measure that. Or if you want to attend a webinar, if you want to do some blogs or anything, you can make these things measurable and set these goals also that way. In other words, don't just say, I want to be better. That's not an objective, right? Make it more concrete, and then you can actually measure success.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. Be able to track your progress is, very motivating for all of us, isn't it? Okay, so Dianne, please finish us off on this one.
Okay, so just to agree with Kay and Mart, so proper planning is important. And in order to achieve your long-term goals, you can also set smaller goals so that as you achieve these, you can get the motivation to move on to actually achieve your longer-term goal.
Perfect. Thanks, Dianne. Thanks, whole panel response for Lucy there, and some loads of information for people to take forward. Charlotte, your next question, please.
Thanks, Ellie. We've got a live question that's just come in from Anne Noel on LinkedIn. They ask, one of the hinders to achieve your goals is procrastination. What is your advice to overcome procrastination?
Yeah, I have a particular issue with this, I have to say. So I'm looking forward to the panel's answers. So we'll hear from Kay and then Sheila on this one. Thank you.
That's actually really topical at the moment. A lot of people are procrastinating around what they need to do next. The last couple of years have affected a lot of people in many different ways. Finding your own purpose is something that I talk a lot to some of our mentees and when I'm coaching, because there has been a bit of soul searching over the last couple of years around, am I in the right kind of role? What do I need to do next? How can I become more passionate about what I do? I'm really interested in these particular, subject areas, but I don't know where to start. I have a career over here, but I want to be over here. So there's a lot of kind of soul searching and thinking, and trying to understand where we need to be in order to find the balance between happiness and work. So as a result, one of the things that people aren't doing is really trying to plan. And we're going back to, what Dianne said, what I was saying before, that planning is important, and actually being and directing some of our learning towards what we really want to do, starting to make some inroads into where we want to be. Procrastination sometimes is because we're not sure. We're not sure about where we are now. There needs to be some understanding and some really identification of where I would like to be next year, what I would like to be doing, and how can I get myself to doing it. Once you find that passion and purpose, you'll be able to kind of move forward quite quickly and start to plan really around what you need to do in order to get you there. A coach and a mentor will be able to support and help you with that, and do some of that searching with you and ask you some difficult questions out in the open where you can really make a difference.
Thanks for that, Kay. Lots of great advice there. Sheila, you're next up on this one, and then we have Stephan.
Thank you. Yes, good advice. Procrastination, I think, is often because people see something as too big. It's daunting, it's difficult, it's don't quite know where to start, all that sort of thing. And having a vision for what it should be at the end is good, but procrastination can be overcome by splitting it down into small steps and looking at something that you can actually do without having to achieve everything, but achieving small steps, get the first one done, give you the confidence to do the next one, give you the confidence to do the next one. And before you know it, you've got there. But we've also got to understand the difference, I believe, between procrastination and a sensible delay for reflection. Sometimes reflection's very useful to avoid a knee-jerk reaction to do something which on reflection you might have either done differently or not done at all. So differentiating, I think, is also useful.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Yeah, sometimes just get started with something, gets you going, but make sure that where you're going is the right place to go in the first place. Stephan, your thoughts, please.
Yeah. Well, trying to find out where things are coming from is always important. I think there are some, I mean, I know that there are industries like, for example, the hospitality industry, who are basically just stepping from month to month, not knowing what happens, uncertainty. The human effect is that people, those who run the hospitalities, have been disaligned. And that is causing major delays in moving forward, because you might not know what happens next. Yeah, how do you get your business more resilient? But you won't succeed if you don't get together. So what some of those do, and that's my recommendation, is try to team up again. You haven't maybe even realized, and I talked about the comfort zone earlier, you haven't even realized maybe that you're not aligned anymore. So it's very important that business get back to alignment. That really means teaming up again and not just talking to each other, really doing something together, because very silently we have all been put into remote. Some can deal with that, some cannot. And they might not admit that because they had no choice. So that's why it's important to find ways to team up in your business again.
Yeah, thanks, Stephan. I think that's really important. And the thing I would add to this, Anna Noel, is maybe take some accountability from someone else, get some external accountability to help with your procrastination. So once you've decided on your goal, share it with somebody and ask them to help you to move forward. Break it up into small pieces, tell them what you're trying to achieve, and help them, let them help you, give you a little push and move forward on a regular basis. Thanks, panel. That's really good advice, and some things maybe I will be taking on board as well. Okay, Charlotte, next question, please.
Thanks, Ellie. We've got a question from Marie in the UK. Marie asks, my team at work have a joint resolution to read one new book a month that will improve our productivity. Any recommendations?
Right, recommendations for publications of books that people can read to improve their productivity, panel. Anybody got anything they'd like to share? Dianne and then Sheila, please.
Yeah, so one of the books I can recommend is Go Put Your Strengths to Work, 6 Powerful Steps to Achieve Outstanding Performance by Marcus Buckingham.
Hey, excellent. We'll pop a link in the chat to that one. Thanks, Dianne. Sheila, your thoughts, please?
I think I'd have to back myself and recommend Business Resilience, a practical guide to sustained progress delivered at pace. And that's because it covers a wide area. And whether it's putting the foundations in place, the culture, or actually making progress, it has a focus both on progress and resilience. And so it's a good foundation for anyone who's looking for resilience going forward.
Yeah, thank you. That's definitely one to read. I would just add, Marie, if you go over to APMG International, there's a whole host of case studies, white papers and things on our website that are free to download. So it may not even be that it's a book or a publication. Maybe it's a story of somebody else's success that will be useful for your team to look at. So please do take a look there, and hopefully you'll find something useful for you. Charlotte, next question, please.
Thanks, Ellie. We've got a question from Wendy B in Scotland. Wendy asks, how do I best set some career goals?
Okay, about setting the goals then, guys. So we've talked about deciding what the goal is. How do we measure that along the way? So Sheila, will come to you first on this one. Thank you.
Yes, I think setting your goals, we've talked about the need for a vision. Where do you want to get? Start with the end in mind, and then breaking that down to give you your journey to get there. And putting your goals, as has been mentioned already, into SMART objectives, what's actually achievable in the next period of time, defining what's achievable, identifying what the challenges are to achieving that as well. But what are the opportunities that you're going to get from overcoming those challenges? We need to make sure that the goals are actually aligned to what you can achieve as well. It's all very well saying, I want to be an astronaut, but if you're frightened of heights and dark, it's going to be a little bit limiting. I was working with a company recently who helps people who've been unemployed long term and so on. And they said that one of the people that they were working with had said they wanted to be cabin crew on with an airline, but they didn't want to leave home and they didn't want to go anywhere foreign. So you need to be more realistic than that.
Yeah, that's definitely limiting, isn't it, Sheila? Okay, Kay, we'll come to you on this one next, and then we'll go Stephan and Dianne, please.
Yeah, one of the things that I think is really, a valid thing to do is look at your own strengths and look at where you need to improve. So there, in terms of your own career goals, if you've got a pathway that you know that you want to follow, or you wanted to do some capability assessments to see where your strengths are, sometimes having a paper-based or online kind of assessment. I mean, we do things called the capability assessments and so on around projects, change, and what have you at CITI. I mean, those are really great to understand where you're really strong and where you might need some improvement. And these can help you to kind of focus a little bit more on getting your education to where it needs to be, or your experience or exposure. So I think a little bit more self-assessment maybe might help to set some clear goals, as well as the SMART objectives and setting these that are realistic and timely and measurable and what have you. So a bit of kind of assessment as well.
Yeah, definitely. Taking that baseline of where we are now is really important. We're on to Stephan now, please, for this one.
Yeah, and Stephan actually agrees with what's been said. Maybe like to add what I talked about earlier, like making sure that there's some kind of mental health or physical health in place. But then it's about the way goals are defined. I think Mart mentioned that earlier. It has to be something that's measurable. So when you set career goals, and these can be within your organization or outside of your organization, because you might think that your next career step is somewhere else and not within that organization. But for me, it's always like set a measurable goal, then look at the obstacles. Look at the obstacles, what might get you from or keep you from not going there, and then make a plan. So it's not just I want to achieve this. You have to define the steps to get there. But first, you have to remove the obstacles. That's my advice.
Yeah, absolutely right, I think. Dianne, finish us off on this one, please.
Sure. So I can suggest a 3-step approach to setting your career goals, with the first step being self-reflection, where you look and see what you've learned, what worked, what didn't work. Are you happy in your present career post? Do you want to change? And then you set your goal and you plan.
Yeah, thanks, Dianne. That's really helpful. I think the other thing for me is we talked a bit earlier about finding a mentor and a coach. The other thing to do if you're developing your career plan over the year, you can sit down with your line manager, your team leader, your HR in your organisation, explain to them what it is you would like to achieve over the year, and let them help you put together a plan, which then they can support in your organisation to help you get there. So, have something on paper, have something that everybody in the organisation is bought into, and they might give you the space and the time to achieve those goals as well. Okay, thanks very much, panel. Charlotte, our next question, please.
Thanks, Ellie. We've got a question from Cindy. And Cindy asks, how important are the tenets of self-reflection, put my teeth in, self-reflection, goal setting, and developing a plan to successfully achieving your New Year resolutions?
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Cindy. And we talked a little bit about this one already about, looking back. But Stephan, we'll come to you on this one.
Yeah, well, Cindy, I can't think of anything more important at the moment than these topics that you raised in your question. Self-reflection, and that has been covered here, where it goes in developing a plan. But find the base in self-reflecting of what you do next. I think even the order is in the right order, so there can't be any more important at the moment for me.
Absolutely, you can't go forward until you've established, what it is you're going forward to. Sheila, we'll come to you next on this one, please.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I agree with what Stephan said. And if you look at this backward, in order to have a good plan, it needs to understand the goals that you've got, and the goals will be advised by the self-reflection that you've done. And so therefore, all three are needed, and making sure that you've done the work so that your goal is realistic, as we've already discussed, and your plan can be set out so that you've got the right steps, the right size steps as well, so that you can actually go forward. But it doesn't mean that you don't need all those other supporting factors that we've talked about already as well, because nothing is done in a vacuum. Everything impacts everything else.
Yeah, absolutely right. Thank you, panel. Just before we move on to the next question, we had a live question come in from Wandimu while we were answering the previous question. But hopefully, it's very similar to the previous question. Hopefully, we've answered it for you. But if we haven't, Wandimu, please let us know in the chat and we'll come back and pick it up for you then. So, Charlotte, can we have our next question, please?
Thanks, Ellie. I guess this is a difficult question for APMG to answer because we might be a bit biased. But Sarah Jones asks, what qualifications do you think are the most useful for the challenges of the next few years?
Yeah, so luckily, Charlotte, we have a broad panel who can make sure that everything is fairly reflected. Okay, so we'll go Dianne, Stephan and Sheila on this one, please.
I would recommend change management, because in our fast-paced global environment, change is probably the only constant, and organizations are always experiencing change. So maybe a change management practitioner or a change management foundation course can assist.
Yeah, thanks, Dianne. That's great advice. I think there's a variety of change management courses out there as well. So I think looking again at your role, how you will be impacted or influencing the change, and then choosing the change management certification that fits for you. Are you leading it, or are you someone that's going to be on the change team? And then going from there would be really useful. So Stephan, next, please, on this one.
Yeah, Dianne, I wholeheartedly agree on change management as being the foundation and the constant. Also, I think has been mentioned business relationship management, and why? Because more and more the world's stopping working in silos. At least everybody tries to do that, and business relationship management is the method to bring things together without silos. And we see this in service management, in project management. We see this almost everywhere. And the last one, well, I don't know if APMG has a qualification for that, is how to deal online. Because we're missing out when we're online. We're missing like 80-90% of everything, of all parts of communications. So we have to learn to better listen online. It's a difference if I listen to somebody in a room or if I'm online, just as an example. So that is something everybody should be aware of, because online doesn't go away, hopefully, because it was everything that connected us was based on being online.
Yeah, absolutely agree, Stephan. Thank you. Sheila, your thoughts, please.
Yes, I think, choosing one is difficult because there are so many qualifications that are useful depending where you are, what you've done so far, what your aspirations are. But what I would say is that looking at what's happened over the last few years and the challenges that will still be there over the next few years, we've still got a very changeable world. Then I'd be saying, business resilience is absolutely covers such a broad area. However, there are so many supporting areas that if you are starting out in your career, you may well want things like communication, like Stephan says, it's absolutely needed. Facilitation, stakeholder engagement, relationship management. There are so many things there that will help you no matter which direction your career is going. But also, if you are currently saying, my aspiration is that I want to actually manage a project, clearly you'll need a project management qualification rather than one of the others. So it's a difficult one to answer for everyone. But I would say that, resilience is a hot topic. You're seeing it out there a lot in the press. Consider it.
Yeah, thank you, Sheila. That's a great answer. Okay, we'll move on to Mart, and then Kay, finish us off on this one at the end, please.
Just quickly, anything data science, anything artificial intelligence, machine learning. It's those are hot markets, and then definitely information security or cybersecurity. All four areas are huge demands for resource, for skills, for expertise. So that will be my bet.
Yeah, great advice. Thanks, Mart. Kay, finish us off on this one, please.
Sure. We run something called Orchestrating Talent, which basically has bite-sized chunks of learning around leadership skills, adaptive change, and so on, and understanding and managing complexity in this world that we're living in right now. I think having a broad understanding of what's going on out there and how to deal with that, manage it. We've talked about change management quite a bit as well, and that's important. And I think Sheila's absolutely right, building your resilience, understanding where you are now and where you need to improve. So again, those capability assessments, things like that will really help you to navigate your career and help you to be more resilient as we go through 2023.
Yeah, thanks, Kay, and thanks for the whole panel. It is a tricky one to answer because obviously, Sarah, we don't know what career you're progressing into, but there were some good sort of general themes in there. Make sure you're able to deal with changes that are coming. Make sure you have a good foundation for building relationships and communicating within your organisation, and definitely get some knowledge of information security and what's coming down the line. In the world of cybersecurity. Thanks, panel. Charlotte, we'll have what will probably be our last question of today's show, please.
Thanks, Ellie. One of the last questions is a live question that's just come in from Wandy May. How can we keep resilient to achieve our career growth in the increasing VUCA world?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm shocked that Sheila has her hand immediately up for this one. Sheila, we'll come to you first, and then Stephan, and then Dianne, please. Thank you.
Well, as you know, resilience is a passion, both personal and business. Yes, we need both, and it's not easy. Just for anyone who's not familiar with the acronym VUCA, it's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, and it's absolutely applicable to the world we're in. And I don't see it changing over the next few years either. There's too many different things at work and the forces going on in the world that would continue to make it VUCA. So being resilient to achieve career growth, I think you need to look at all of the things we've discussed during this level up session, because they all contribute to it, whether it's health, whether it's diet, whether it's the people you surround yourself with, the qualifications you have. My whole career, I've been told that I'm only as relevant as the market wants. So we have to look at the world that we're in and what is in demand. Mart was talking about AI and information security, cybersecurity. There's a whole demand out there for a range of different things, depending where you're coming from. All of those areas that Mart described, you need some IT skills. So somebody like me would be completely useless since I don't have those. On the other hand, if you're looking at helping an organization to be more resilient or people to be more resilient, then that's something that I would aspire to for my career growth. And therefore, I'd be looking at different things. But putting all those foundations in place to support you, to make sure you're going in the right direction, will help your resilience as well.
Yeah, thanks, Sheila. Great advice. Stephan, your thoughts, please.
Well, I think, first of all, we have to accept that there's a VUCA world and it will stay. It won't go away. Yeah. And in particular, when we have other threats, and I just want to cover one part of that, is that we're about to destroy our planet. So resilience gets another perspective on that. It's the businesses you're in. So I personally would look for having a career growth in an area where it can help save the planet. And we see a tendency. This is no longer a bad idea to do that. Even companies are going into that direction. There are lots of examples for that. But it stays VUCA. VUCA will stay. It won't go away. So that's why I think Sheila's absolutely right. A lot of those we have mentioned already build the foundation for that. We just have to accept that we have to deal with it.
Yeah, thanks, Stephan. That's great advice. Dianne, your thoughts, please.
One of the steps to be resilient is to develop your professional skills. And one of those skills can be not just listening, but reflective listening. Because sometimes we listen to respond and not listen to understand. But in reflective listening, you listen, you analyze, you put the message back out to the person to ensure that you understand the message. So that can be one of the skills that you can develop.
Yeah, thanks, Dianne. That's a really great advice. I'm sure we could all do better with our kind of active listening. Mart, your thoughts, please, and then we'll finish with Kay on this one. Thank you.
What Stephan said, indeed, VUCA won't go away. So my point is, don't have that just distract you. Stay focused. Stay focused on how you define success. And what I want to add to that is visualize it. Write it down, maybe on a piece of paper or on a pinboard or on a whiteboard, so you can look at it, day in, day out, just to see this is what I'm focusing on. I'm going to stay focused because VUCA will be there, and so let's make sure that's not going to distract me and become an obstacle. So stay focused on success.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. Thank you. So, Kay, finish us off on our last question of today's show, please.
Okay, one of the things that I think is, yes, you're right, VUCA is going to stay, and we need to learn how to make good decisions at a level where, and at a pace where the world is going. So as a business leader, sometimes it's really difficult to not have all of the information that you need at your hands and your fingertips when you need it, but being able to kind of make decisions based on the information that you do have. You need to become robust as an individual, but also as an organisation, and you can help with your resilience. And exactly as Sheila and other people have said already, it's really important that you are authentic, socially conscious, and understand what's going on around you so that you have as much information as possible. Don't be insular, be out there and surround yourself with people who do know other things and can complement your own knowledge and skills. So for me, in order to achieve your career growth in this changing world and complex world, you do need to surround yourself with the right people and the right knowledge and information.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I think also not being too set on the path that you were going on, be willing to flex, be willing to change as things evolve. Who would have envisaged we will be where we are now? And those organisations that were able to pivot and make a change quite quickly, were the ones that survived. So thank you, panel. Full panel answer there for our last question. So you guys have been wonderful today. So thank you very much. I'd also like to thank our audience, who are effectively our producers, for your excellent questions today. Great job, and please watch out for your name in the credits. Before we move on, we'll just go around our panel for some closing remarks. So let me start then with Stephan. Your thoughts on today, please.
Yeah, well, I just want to pick up on one thing here, which is what Dianne said about reflective listening. Listening is something which I learned from one of the panelists here last year. Is a capacity that we have in our brain. We can listen much more than we can talk, and we should use that and find the other ways of a reflection by listening carefully, in particular online, where we're missing out all that other part of communication. So this was a great session for me, also to learn from the other panelists, and happy to be part of it. Thanks, Ellie.
Thank you, Stephan. Dianne, your thoughts on today's show, please.
Thanks, Ellie. It was a very interesting show, a lot of very interesting and insightful questions, and I've also learned so much from my fellow panelists. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Dianne. Sheila, your thoughts on today?
Like everyone, I've learned from others and delighted to have had the really interesting questions from our audience as well. But I'd just like to say as well, whatever your career goals are, whatever your aspirations are, very best of luck with them. And I hope that what we've said today has given something for you to work with.
Yeah, it's a great closing remark there. Thank you, Sheila. Mart, your comments on today, please.
Great show. Thank you. Just another quote, maybe, to leave it at that. Choose a job you love, and you will never have to work a day in your life.
Yeah, super true. Thanks, Mart. Kay, finish us off on the closing remarks, please.
Thank you. I think thank you all, for teaching me as well some things or reminding me as well. And I think these sessions are great for that reminder and reflection of where we are now and where we want to be. So I wish everybody luck. It's been really insightful, and thank you for having me on. And I've really enjoyed it. Great questions.
Thank you very much, Kay. Charlotte, I'll bring you back for your closing thoughts on today's show, please.
Thanks, Ellie. Thank you to our panelists, and thank you to our viewers for submitting their questions. It's great to see so much thought and consideration taken in people's views of the upcoming year and what may be there, I think it gives us time to reflect on what questions people should be asking on Friday's episode, which, as you're about to say, is a repeat of today's. So food for thought for the host on Friday.
Yeah, thanks, Charlotte. And thanks to all the panel. It was a great show today, loads of great feedback, and Happy New Year to you all.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you'd like to find more expert answers to audience questions, please head over to our website where you can search through over 1,700 questions from previous shows. It's a great comprehensive free resource connecting you with over 180 experts from around the world. So great place to go to get a view from our previous panelists on your thoughts and your questions. Please don't forget you can also listen to the audio version of the shows on your preferred podcast platform. So if you're out getting some exercise as part of your New Year's resolution, tune in and take in a previous Level Up episode at the same time. Coming up in the next week, we have another 2 great shows. On Friday, the 13th of January, we'll be diving further into this topic of how to achieve your career New Year's resolutions. And on Monday, the 26th, we'll be discussing how to manage agile projects. So finally, to make sure you keep in touch with all the latest episodes, don't forget to subscribe to the show, and we'll send you a personal summary of what's coming up and how you can join us here on the panel to level up your career. Thanks, everybody. Happy New Year to you, and we'll see you in the next show.